great to catch back up with you to talk about new material. And I know from my end of the microphone, you know, it was so hard to talk to musicians during that pandemic period with everything kind of being in a lurch and start and stop and not sure what's going on. So now we're in this new post-pandemic gilded age of creativity and projects are out. So it's great to catch up. And I want to know, before we get into your latest album, Rehab, I want to know, how did you make it through the pandemic? How did you survive through it? And how are
Uh,
you now?
um, Actually, I wasn't too bad during the pandemic. I went fishing a lot. And
Okay.
also, I was kind of excited because at that time, I had just completed that record, that trio record with Ron Carter and Tootie Heath, and I was putting that out. So I was kind of, so that was keeping me busy and keeping my mind off all the bad stuff. And a friend of mine, we would go upstate, like in the Woodstock area. It's about 2 hours from here, and we would fish a lot. So we were out in the fresh air and sunshine, and that's kind of what kept me through, got me through it. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me.
So I wasn't really, and weirdly enough, I if I had if I did get COVID, I'm not aware of it. So
Yeah.
maybe I got it and I was asymptomatic, but I didn't get a bad case of it, even though I know some people who got it really bad, and I knew a couple people who died.
Yeah. It from that perspective, it was ugly. But I think it put a renewed focus on what we're doing down here as humans. I think there's a level of us that just kind of had a light switch that came on. Um, was this album an outgrowth of that time period?
This one,
Yeah.
um, I don't think so. No, this. I mean, I started thinking about it then because right after that, even before the pandemic, I was doing some trio gigs with Ugonna Okegwo on bass and Jonathan Barber on drums. And I was thinking, I mean, this was even while I did that previous record with Ron Carter and Tootie Heath. I was thinking, I should record this group because we play well together and we've got some history. So I guess in a way, it was an outgrowth of that in that sense. And we kept doing gigs, and finally, last year I was like, okay, I got to record. So, uh, and the songs, once I started thinking about the songs, kind of just came to me. Well, a few of the songs we had been playing on gigs, and that really helped me formulate, like change, fine tune the arrangements and um, the composition, and also get my own stuff together as how to play the songs. Because sometimes, like, I mean, sometimes I've written stuff that's I find hard to play.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was your approach going into this album? What was kind of your overarching creative vision with the final product?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess overarching. Say it again. My
Just kind of your overall vision for this project. What was the sound? What was the vibe you were going for?
Just to capture mainly what we do on gigs,
Yeah.
which you can't really ever do that in a recording studio, but just to capture what our interplay and what I like about those guys and why I wanted to record with them, because I really felt fortunate. Also, I wanted to record with Ugonna and Jonathan because they're busy people, and once I figured out, it was kind of hard to figure out a time to record, actually, because they're really busy. Jonathan works with all kinds of people, Ugonna is busy too, traveling, and he works in Tom Harrell's band, which is where I would hear him a lot in the past. And I'd think, God, I'd like to record with him. Um, they're busy, so I felt lucky to get a chance to get them together, at the same place at the same time. We've got a couple gigs coming up. I'm kind of hoping that they'll both make those.
Yeah. We'll talk about the gigs. That's what I was going to get into as far as promoting the album and gigging. What's going on?
Yeah, I've got a place I haven't played before that I'm kind of excited. It's called the Side Door Jazz Club. It's in Old Lyme, Connecticut.
Yeah.
About 80 miles from here. But it's just what I've never been there, but what I've seen online, I was like, I want to play this place. It's like the Village Vanguard, but up in Connecticut. And they have a pretty pretty respectable roster of players that play there. So we're doing that on June 15th, the day after the album's released, which is June 14th, Friday, June 14th, the album's released. And then we play the Side Door on June 15th. And then on June 27th, I have my New York CD release party at Mesro Jazz Club, which is kind of cool because that's one of the clubs we've played at a lot with this trio.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
Some melody. I hope they take something away. The songs, actually, I'm not trying to blow anybody away with my playing that much. I mean, but I just want people to remember maybe a song that they like or something they like about that. I mean,
So
not speaking, not in a commercial way, but I mean, jazz can be melodic too, besides just like I don't want it to be just like a display of technique.
Yeah.
I want the music to really mean something and touch people.
Yeah. So is somebody that's living in kind of a mecca of jazz in New York and being an educator, I want to know what's your beat on the strength of jazz right now? I know the pandemic kind of scared some people away from big cities, but what's your
Man,
feeling?
man, there's so much good music being played in New York City. I mean, it's pretty inspiring. I mean, I could look at just whoever look at who's at the clubs this week, and there's always something I'd want to hear. It's pretty healthy,
Yeah.
and the young players coming up, forget it, man. There's so much talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I have a 14-year-old student,
uh-huh.
and I've been teaching her. I started teaching her 3 years ago. No, almost during the pandemic, uh, at the 92nd Street Y. It's kind of a little bit of I'd say it's a cultural institution, but they have different arts programs. And she was 11 when I started teaching her, and she's got a scholarship there now. And I don't know what from 11 to 14, after that, anything can happen, but she sure got the goods.
Yeah.
I mean, all the pieces are together. Her focus, her mindset, and just she seems like she's eager. She's, I wouldn't say competitive, but she's I don't know what the word would be. Um, she could she can be she's very eager to learn stuff, and she's
Sure.
kind of a you know she absorbs a lot of stuff, listens to a lot of music.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one day, this is like when she was like 12, we were listening to, we have a jazz ensemble too. She's a member of that. And we were listening to a Wes Montgomery song. We were thinking about doing this song in our jazz ensemble. And the drummer said, how does he get that sound? That's sort of, he was playing octaves, and, you know, they don't know anything. They're kids. I don't, you know, and he says, how does he get that sound? Is that an effect or something? And she says, no, he's playing, before I could speak, she says, no, he's playing octaves and he plays with his thumb. And I said, yeah. And she goes like this on her guitar. She shows the octave. And I go, yeah. And I go, how did you know that? And she says, oh, I watched some videos, you know.
Yeah.
That's the kind of person she is.
Yeah. Well, and all these kids have all this at their disposal. They could see the whole history of jazz. You know?
I know. Like, I know. That's so to their advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is. So June 14th is a release date. You're going to have a gig on the 15th. Anything else coming up? And just so everybody knows, if they want to pick this up in earnest in the proper physical fashion, where can they pick this up? Any of the good news?
Oh, I'm going to have it up on Bandcamp, physical product. And I've got a run of vinyl, limited edition 100 run of vinyl.
Nice.
But it's I should mention that it's all my other records were on a label.
Yeah.
Last one was on SMK, which is a smoke jazz label, the one with Ron Carter and Tootie Heath. But this one is my own label. I call it Soulmation Records. Okay. It's on Soulmation Records. It's my first self-release. And so I've got the product, vinyl and CD, and it'll be up on the streaming platforms as well.
Okay, cool. Greg, thank you.
Probably sell it on Bandcamp.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And I'll lead everybody in that direction. Yeah, I'll put up a link and make sure that they get it. Greg, it's great to catch back up with you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out. I'm looking forward to playing it again and running into you again. Cool, Greg. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.